The question that comes up over and over and over and over and over is relationship to the agent and what is the agent actor relationship. I do a long, long talk on this in my business classes. But to be clear about one very specific thing, your agent is your sales representative. They're selling your product. They're not your friend. They're certainly not your boss. A lot of actors treat themselves that way, as though they're agents in charge. You're the CEO of your corporation. You are running the show. You're running the product. You understand your product, and you're figuring out your business plan, and you know how you're going to pitch your product to the market that needs you, and you know where you fit in the market. And once you've done all of your homework and you've got your mission statement and your 5-year plan and your marketing materials, then you hire yourself a sales representative who's like, the guy down at the Mac store who's selling the computer at the Apple store. It's like that guy's selling the Mac. He's not designing the Mac. Your job is to make sure that that salesperson is armed with what they need. So this is a big, big talk, but I'm going to say something very simple, which is the 3 and 3. There's 3 things that your agent needs to do for you. And if they're not doing those 3 things, then your company's not working. Inversely, though, there are 3 things that you owe your agent that you need to do for your agent. And the 3 things are in tandem. And that's why a lot of times, I just had a talk this morning with somebody about leaving their agent. Before somebody says, I want to leave my agent, it might be that the relationship's not working. It might be that that agent doesn't have enough power, leverage, or whatever it is. But before you just jump ship from agent to agent to agent to agent, you need to make sure that you've done your due diligence, which is that you've armed your agent with what they need. They are no more and no less than a sales representative. So they can only sell something that they are specifically aware of what they're selling. And if you haven't armed them with that, then you haven't done your job. So before you just jump away from your agent, make sure that you've given her what she needs in order to represent you. So the 3 things an agent has to do for you, otherwise they're not doing their job, is aside from contracts and negotiating and some bigger stuff when your career is flying, the 3 things an agent needs to do for you is, 1, they need to get you into the audition room, which seems somewhat obvious because that's their entire job. Their job is to get you into the audition room. So they're getting you auditions. And I had an argument with an agent once in Toronto who was really upset at me that I said that out loud. That I said, if the agent can't get you in the room, then like, what are they doing? And this agent kept on going on and on about how hard he works for his actors. He works so hard for them. He works so hard for them. But I'm like, doing what? Like the job is to get me in the audition room. So number 1, the agent has to get you into the audition room. They have to get you auditions. That's their job. Number 2 is they have to be hot for your product. They have to like be inspired by you. They have to think you're awesome. They have to think that they can't wait for you to be seen by casting and production because, you're amazing at what you do and you've got this great product and you're so exciting a person. And so they have to be hot for your product. And the third one is they have to be able to communicate with you. They have to have ideas, and they also have to listen, and you have to communicate with you. And you can see how that triangle falls apart if any one of those things are missing, because a lot of times, a lot of actors are with agents who are super hot on the product. They just think you're amazing, and they just they talk up to you all the time about how great you are. And they answer the phone, and they discuss the future, and they discuss things that they should do, and they're looking for projects for you and all that stuff, and it's wonderful. But they're just not a very powerful agent, and they don't have very good relationships with casting, and they can't get you in the audition room. So what's the point? So when people have that, they're missing the 1 and they have the 2 and the 3. It's usually somebody who is looking for some kind of affirmation or love or, I don't know, positive response from somebody. And that's why they have that kind of agent. So that makes no sense. It's pointless. The second one would be they do get you in the room. So number 1. And they do answer your call, and they do talk to you, and they do communicate, and they do talk to you about your, long-term plan and what's going on this year, and they discuss things with you, but they just kind of really don't get you. They don't think you're great, or they don't get you, or they don't get your acting, or they're just, I don't know, they don't inspire me. And I talk to agents a lot who are great agents. So I know it's the kind of agent that can get you in the room, and it's also the kind of agent who will talk like they're communicating with me about the client, but they're like, I just don't get them. You know, I just don't think I'm right for them. That happens. So if you're with that agent, then there's no point, because they're not going to be pushing you because they're not inspired by you. And the third one is you have 1 and 2. The agent gets you in the room. The agent thinks you're awesome, but they don't communicate. And that's when actors start, like, their career goes in a weird direction, because the agent's submitting them for parts that make no sense, or the agent is submitting you for things that you find offensive, or the agent is pushing you towards projects or commercials or non-union work or something, and you're like, this is not where I want to go. Or the agent, like, you can never get them on the phone. You know, you have an issue about something and you're on set and you can't seem to get your agent ever to talk to you. And so that's not a good thing. It's going to lead your career off onto some path and a dead end somewhere, because you're not moving towards your 5-year plan. So they have to get you in the room. They have to love your product. Just think they can't wait to, like the kid at the Apple store who's selling the Mac. Like, he'd better love the Mac. I mean, if he's selling the Mac, he's at the Apple store and he goes, listen, you'd be better off with a Dell. Then I don't want him working for me if I own Apple. So anyway, they have to be really hot for your product. And then the last thing would be they pick up the phone and they talk to you. Now, careful. Your job is to communicate with them. We're going to talk about that in a second, but don't swamp your agent. There's very specific things about how to communicate with an agent. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so that's the 3 things that an agent needs to do for you. But inversely, you owe them 3 things, very specific. One is, when they get you in the room, you deliver. And that seems kind of obvious. Just as obvious as, your agent's supposed to get you an audition is you kill these auditions. You don't need to close the audition or book. Booking is out of your control. Booking has a lot to do with casting, which is out of your control. You're not the authority of that. And you book 1 in 20 or something, and you're going to tons of auditions, and there's a system to it, and you don't know what's going on with the production, you don't know what's going on with the director, you don't know what's going on with the casting. So booking is not don't worry about that. But it's killing it in the room, because a relationship with the casting director, that the casting director thinks that it knows that every time you walk into the room, you do great work, and they know exactly what it is that you bring to acting. That's how you make a career. How you make a career is having a long-term relationship with the casting director and with casting directors. And whenever you walk into the room, you're great. If you're not walking into the room and being great, I wonder why you're going into the room at all. And so don't be a business person who's bringing the product to the market before the product is ready for the market. You can't try to sell a car that has no wheels. So when you go to the auditions, you know how to contain your nerves, you're off book, you're prepared, you understand how to break down script, you've practiced and rehearsed with a coach, you are able to affect the reader, you can take your time, you can deliver in front of camera, you can then adjust to a director's notes. You have to be able to know how to act. So if you don't know, there's no point in an agent getting you an audition if you're going to blow auditions. So don't. That's a pressure that is absolute. Just, you have to be great. 2 is the agent. You want the agent to be hot for your product. You're the one who has to educate your agent on that. So your second thing is, you need to be supplying the agent with new demo reels, short webisode series you're doing, a wicked scene that you're in that you've edited, even if it's a phenomenal monologue or even an audition tape from an audition class or something, but you're inspiring the agent to understand your product. You're sending them a new pitch you're working on, or you've got a new idea for comparison pitch, or you're arming your sales rep. So the guy who's selling the the Mac, you're giving him brochures and you're giving him a sample and you're giving him like a cool poster behind him and you're giving him demos that he can show, and you're getting the salesperson inspired and you're giving them the tools that they need to sell you. So that's pretty obvious. And then the third one, the last one, is being able to communicate with your agent. Most agents freak out when I say this, but I think that actors should have quarterly meetings with their agent. So every 3 months, you need to have a meeting with your agent. But you don't have to have a 3-hour lunch where you cry about your career and tell them all about your personal life and talk about the breakthroughs in acting and stuff. All you need to do is every 3 months have a 20-minute touch base, because you know your agent works for you, but they also work for other people. They're a higher. It's like your accountants or your dentist. They work for you, but you know they have other clients. Your job is to map out, okay, what are we doing for the next 3 months? Where have we been for these 3 months? This is what I want. This is what I want to work on. And here's the material that you need to work on it. So you're dictating a very clear, communicated ideas. Like in in these next 3 months, I've been on Deadline.com and I've been keeping my nose to the ground. I've been hearing things, and there's 3 comedies. Space Force is shooting in my town now, and these comedies are mostly casted by this one casting director. We haven't really pushed this casting director particularly. So what I've done is I've gone and I've made a comedy reel, or I've shot this comedy short, or I did scenes from Space Force even, and created something. And here they are. And I'd really love it if we tried to really focus on this one casting director. And don't worry, when I go into the room, I'm going to kill it, Whatever it is, I just made that up. But you have a specific game plan. You've got a specific idea, a mission, an intention. You know what you want, and you're dictating that, and you're clear and communicative to your agent. You want to be the kind of client who doesn't waste your agent's time, doesn't bring any emotion or weird personal stuff. You're not trying to be their friend, or you're not trying to get them to love you or whatever. You're the client that doesn't. You're not, every time you try to see them as often as you can in different wardrobe, and like that's odd stuff. You want to be the kind of client who is always on time, never wastes the agent's time, is always prepared, and is always awesome in auditions and getting good feedback, who is always really busy. You want your agent to go, oh my gosh, there goes my client. I better go out in front and represent them. So you're saying, look, I'm in this independent film. I'm in this webisode series. I'm on stage. I'm doing some stand-up comedy, some sketch comedy. I'm taking care of this workshop. I'm producing this thing over here, and you're busy and you're doing stuff. And then here's what I think, here's my pitch, here's my brand, here's my style, this is where I fit into the industry, and you keep arming them with it. And you communicate with them really clearly what you want, and then you thank them, you're very gracious about it. That's it. So it's not really rocket science, nor is it magic. It's somebody that you've employed to work for your company who needs to care and understand and have direction. That's what it's about. So that's the agent actor relationship. Now that we've said that, the agent is a very small part of your company. So once you've set your whole formal part of your company up, you've got your headshots and your demo, and you've got your, I don't know, IMDb or website or web presence or whatever, and your agent is submitting you and things, that's lovely. Now, while that's happening over there, you have to go over here and you got to make yourself a career. And this is where you develop projects for yourself and you get yourself out into the world. But we'll talk about that another time. Good luck with your agent.